I'd like to share with you today a practice on listening. And this comes from one of my teachers, Patsy Rodenberg. Maybe some of you have heard of her. She's one of the most prominent voice teachers in the Western world. And in voice work, listening is an essential part. The ability to be responsive, authentic, present is essential. And listening is a big part of that. So we spend quite a bit of time in voice work with listening. And I have found that translates very well in many other areas of my life. I have no doubt each of you I know is an artist with your own specialty. And I have no doubt that you have either quite obviously to you or maybe not so obvious to you, but you have spent time cultivating the ability to listening or observing. So if you'd like, um, join me with this. What I'd like for you to do is actually find a place outside that you can be, or maybe if that's not possible for you, could you open the window? And then get yourself seated comfortably. So I'm going to futz a little bit with my seat as well. And again, as I've said before, one of the most important things is that you are comfortable. So double and triple check that. Make sure that that's so. And let your hands come to rest easily on your lap or beside you. And take a moment to feel where it is that you're seated, where it is that you're supported by the floor underneath you. And now rest into that. Yield, give way to that. As you do this, you might notice that the breath begins to deepen. And let the eyes come to rest easefully on one point. Let it be in front of you about 3 to 6 feet with the gaze downwards. And as you're gazing downwards and noticing your breath and accepting the support of the ground underneath you, I'd like for you to let your eyes take in, receive the interplay of light and shadow. So you're not trying to make out color or identify objects. You're simply going to a receptive state of light and shadow. A kind of soft focus comes to the eyes. Now you can keep your eyes open or let them close from this point forward. And let's turn our sensory awareness now to the sensation of touch again, but this time the sensation of perhaps the wind on your skin, or the sensation of your clothes. Your hair touching your skin. Notice if there's any sensitivity of responsiveness in, in response to this sensation of touch. It might be an emotional shift or a physical shift. You might like it or not. And in meditation, we try not to futz too much. We try not to move about too much. If a sensation becomes uncomfortable, it's okay to move, but if you can, it's good to sit with the sensation, even of the uncomfortability, for just a moment. Sometimes that has its shift in and of itself. And sometimes it becomes necessary to move. But you'll never know which unless you sit with it for just a moment. That sensation of uncomfortability. So I'd like to invite you to view any particular uncomfortable sensations that come up as an opportunity to sit and notice. And notice the transitory state of the sensation, whether it will shift on its own or if truly it does require some action on your part. Sometimes things are more bearable than perhaps we had considered. If we simply keep our focus in one spot, which in this case right now is the sensations of your skin, and if your eyes are opened, that one pointed focus in front of you. And if your eyes are closed, the breath. This in and of itself is a form of listening, sitting with something and breathing and remaining focused. It's a way of getting to know more information before responding or reacting. And now I'd like for you to turn your awareness to the sensation of sound, or hearing, I mean, to the sounds around you. And like we did with the eyes drinking in the visuals, Can you let the ears receive the sensations of the sound? What sounds can you hear? Don't identify them, but reach out to seek. So let's give it a direction. What's the furthest sound you can hear? And what's the closest? Is there a difference in your experience of presence when you listen for the sounds that are furthest from you, from when you listen for the sounds that are closest? And now let's work with an exercise of peeling away the sounds. So I'd like for you to notice the sound that most captures your attention in this moment. And peel away that sound and move through it to find the sound beyond it. And when you find that one, peel it away and move through it to find another sound beyond it. So that there's layers and layers of sounds that are being peeled away, one over the other, through the next. And what's it like to sit with one of them and not identify, but simply receive that sound? noticing perhaps its transistory nature, and also noticing perhaps your physical, emotional, and mental state's responsiveness to the receiving of that sound. And now, let's seek the silence. There's this beautiful interplay of silence and sound. And as my teacher Patsy Rodenberg says, seek out the silence. You'll never find it, and that isn't the point. So where you are now, seek through the sound. Peel the sounds away in an effort to find or seek that silence. And how does this way of relating to sound, this seeking the silence, how does that affect and play with your being, your state, physical, emotional, and mental? And let the eyes come open. This seeking out the silence is much what we're doing in meditation. I like that direction. Seek out the silence, you'll never find it, and that isn't the point. it could be said that at least one stage of meditation, that holds true as well, that we're seeking the silence, the stillness from that identification of thought. This becomes particularly useful whenever the thoughts are leading us a place that um, isn't beneficial, isn't going somewhere we want, it's keeping us some particular place, stagnation of creative energy. When we seek that silence, sometimes it does seem that the thoughts won't stop. And honestly, they may not. Very rarely is it true that someone actually suspends thought. The mind wants to continue to think. It's what it does. It's not bad. It only becomes bad whenever it becomes the master. When we can use it as a tool, it's useful. So in meditation, simply the act of directing the thoughts back to the place where we want it to go begins to train the mind that it is a tool. It begins to sharpen it and hone it. And then our full potential begins to open up. And also, it's just really peaceful sometimes. Though no meditation teacher can guarantee you that meditation is going to lead you to peace, nor can they say that it's always blissful. Any meditation teacher that tells you that is trying to sell you something, and oftentimes it's boring. So why do we do it? The same reason why we do any practice, because the more that we do it, the more proficient we get at it. And what is it that we're doing? We're training the mind. At least that's one part. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're enjoying these. Feel free to let me know how it's going for you. I'm really curious, and I'm thinking of you, and I'm wishing you well.